Early humans, often referred to as cave dwellers, were far more than just survivalists. They were early learners, constantly adapting to their environment. Their ability to learn from their surroundings was crucial for survival. They observed nature, developed tools, discovered fire, and learned to communicate. Through trial and error, cave people passed down essential knowledge of hunting, gathering, and crafting tools, gradually building the foundation for human civilization. But of course, this was only the first step to conquering the true mysteries that still astound us today. There is still much we must learn before answering life's toughest questions, like, what is the meaning of life? Do bounty paper towels really pick up any spill? And of course, how many people has Eric Cartman killed?
Hey, Zephin.
Oh, pardon me. What's that?
We can actually find out that last one.
Oh, really? Well, alright. Looks like one of the big three has been solved. I went through the whole show in order to try to find how many people Cartman killed, and I'm going to tell you about every single kill that I found. Quick side note, I didn't really look at every episode very thoroughly. I skimmed through most of them. It's possible that I've missed quite a few kills in this, so if you guys know of any kills that I missed, please let me know in the comments. So it looks like Eric doesn't actually kill anybody in Season 1. I would have thought at least 10. He does kill a bunch of zombies in the episode Pink Eye, but I count those as already dead. Eric's first kill is actually in Season 2, Episode 5, entitled Conjoined Fetus Lady. There was just one kill in this episode, and it was with the help of Stan and Kyle. The boys and the rest of the class were on their way to Washington, D.C. to play in the national finals for dodgeball. On their way, Eric, Stan, and Kyle slingshot a jelly roll at Miss Crabtree, who loses control of the school bus and runs over a man who is visiting the Vietnam Memorial. In Episode 11, Cartman gets his second kill. In this scene, Dr. Tristan Adams, the man who runs the planetarium, was about to brainwash Stan, Kyle, Mr. Mackey, and Nurse Gollum. Eric walks into the planetarium to brag about being the new cheesy poof kid, but gets mad when nobody responds. He freaks out and knocks over a projector which blasts mind control rays straight into the eyes of Dr. Adams. He doesn't technically die here, but we can assume that without the ability to do anything, that he is going to die soon. In Episode 3, Chef falls in love with a succubus named Veronica. The boys are the only ones who know that she's a succubus, so they have to find a way to save Chef. They start reading a bunch of books in Cartman's room, and Kyle finds out that the only way to kill a succubus is by singing its eerie medley backwards. So the boys spend the night learning the song The Morning After, a song by Maureen McGovern, backwards. The next day, Cartman starts the song at Chef's wedding while Stan and Kyle sing it backwards. You could say since Stan and Kyle are the ones singing that they're the ones who killed Veronica, but I count Eric as well just for starting the song. Plus, I want his KD ratio to go through the roof. Eric doesn't kill anybody in Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. He beats up Saddam Hussein with lightning powers, but then Saddam is finished off by Satan. While Eric was high on Ritalin in the episode Timmy 2000, he starts seeing little Christina Aguilera monsters. He sees one on Kenny's face while the boys are watching VH1. Eric decides to smash Kenny's head in with a frying pan to crush the little monster. This is one of my favorite kills of all time. So in this episode, Eric kills Kenny when he tries to kill Timmy's mentally challenged turkey by dropping a stage light on it. Eric accidentally rigs up the wrong light, and when he cuts the rope, it falls on Kenny instead. Eric goes kinda hard in Season 5. It starts with fan-favorite episode, Scott Tenorman Must Die. In this episode, Eric plans to have Scott Tenorman's parents killed so he can steal the bodies and make them into chili to feed to Scott. Eric ends up being successful, acquiring 2 kills. This episode was a big step that we see in Cartman's character that we still see in him today, so that means we get a lot more kills later on. This one's a bit of a stretch, but as previously stated, the higher the KD, the better. This episode is called Cartman Land, and at the very start of the episode, we see that Cartman's grandmother died and left Eric $1 million, which he uses to buy an amusement park. When Kyle hears about how Cartman got 1 million big ones, he renounces his religion and disbelief that a bad person like Cartman could ever be given that much money. Kyle starts getting very sick and eventually goes into cardiac arrest because of how much pain he's in about how everything can be going so well for Cartman. According to one source I checked about cardiac arrest on Google search, it says that cardiac arrest is synonymous with death by cardiorespiratory criteria. Now, I sent this information to the officials, me, and they declared that this counts as a kill. Also in this episode, I'm deciding that Cartman is responsible for Kenny's death when he's impaled by a metal rod while riding a roller coaster in Cartman's amusement park. When the boys are on their way to Afghanistan in episode 9, Cartman farts a lot in the airplane. When the boys get out, a random army man enters to see how smelly it actually was. He immediately turns around, throws up, and then dies. The Death Camp of Tolerance is an episode where Mr. Garrison is promoted to the 4th grade teacher. He learns that if he's fired for being gay, then he can sue the school board for millions of dollars. With that in mind, he gets a new teacher's assistant named Mr. Slave, who he tortures in class. The boys report this to their parents, but they brush it off. Later, when the boys refuse to go to class because of the actions of Mr. Garrison, they're punished by being sent to the Death Camp of Tolerance. While at camp, Cartman goes to the outhouse and finds 2 girls in the pit. The girls beg him not to say anything because if they go back to work, they're gonna die. Eric decides to poop on them and then tell the guards that there are 2 girls hiding down there. I assume both the girls died. When Eric goes back to the time of the Founding Fathers to see what they would think about the war in Iraq, Eric kills a messenger boy so he can pretend to be the messenger boy. In the episode Grey Down, after the senior citizens and the AARP take over the town, it's up to the boys to save South Park. The boys lock Country Kitchen Buffet from the inside to keep old people from eating. After the doors are locked, a bunch of old people starve to death. We only get to see 27 bodies out there, but I assume there were a lot more people from South Park, the AARP, and some neighboring towns. So although we only see 27 die, I'm gonna call it at 50. Cartman killed Rob Reiner in the episode A Butt Out after Reiner attempted to have Cartman killed to demonstrate that secondhand smoking is lethal. Osimo's a robot costume Eric made to trick Butters into thinking he's a robot called Osimo. Cartman gets captured by the government because they see him as a threat and they wish to use him as a military weapon. The scientist that is supposed to reprogram Cartman eventually refuses to work on him because he thinks that the robot has gained sentience. The scientist tries to set Cartman free, and when he does, Cartman starts taking his helmet off. Unfortunately, that's when Butters walks in. Eric can't let Butters know that he is Eric, so he puts the helmet right back on, and that's when a soldier shoots and kills the scientist. I count this as a Cartman kill just because he could have stopped it. When Cartman becomes a psychic detective and there's a murderer killing people around town, he tells the police that all the other psychic detectives are the culprits. When the police raid where the psychic detectives live, one of them tries to fight back with mind powers. He is then shot. Die Hippie Die adds a lot of kills under Cartman's record. In this episode, it's up to Cartman to end a 14-mile-wide hippie jam festival, the biggest the world has ever seen. His idea is to drill to the center and play a Slayer disc to disperse the crowd. Slayer is a band that plays metal. Cartman says the circle is 500,000 hippies thick. His drill is about 5 hippies wide, I think. So we get to multiply 500,000 by 5. So in this episode, Cartman kills
2.5 million people? Jesus Christ!
I apologize for my sudden raging outburst. Now, what's next? Oh yeah, there's a Kenny kill. After Kenny dies in the episode Best Friends Forever, he leaves Cartman his PSP gaming console. The problem is doctors were able to bring Kenny back to life. However, it was in a vegetative state. Anyway, since Kenny was back alive, Cartman doesn't get his PSP. Therefore, Cartman tries to get Kenny's feeding tube removed. Cartman ends up being successful and Kenny dies. Cartman becomes the hallway monitor and Miss Teacher bangs a boy. In this episode, Ike starts dating his teacher. Kyle, looking out for his little brother, tries to get Ike to understand that he's too young. While venting about the situation to his friends, Kyle lets out that Ike and his teacher go out in the hallway and kiss during class time. Since Cartman is the hallway monitor, he sees this as a crime. He takes it upon himself to catch and punish the teacher. He ends up chasing her up a building, and when she reaches the top, she jumps off and kills herself. Cartman actually kills himself in the episode Go God Go. He's super excited and can't wait for the Nintendo Wii to come out in 3 weeks. To get around this, he freezes himself and tells Butters to unfreeze him in 3 weeks. Cartman finds a mountain to freeze himself on and then does so. Later, an avalanche falls and Butters is unable to find him. Cartman remains frozen for about 500 years and he's brought back to life by people in the future. In episode 4, Cartman thinks his new classmate is a terrorist. He calls the CIA and tells them about a terrorist attack. Turns out there was a terrorist attack, but the terrorists have nothing to do with the new kid in class. Cartman starts an investigation that leads to the death of 6 people in a warehouse, the sinking of 8 British ships, and also the Queen shoots herself. In Imagination Land, Cartman stops a leprechaun who was headed to Imagination Land to tell them about a terrorist attack. That leads to the death of countless imaginary characters and also a few military personnel. I don't think Cartman's responsible for any kills in Season 12, so let me know if I missed any in the comments. In Episode 7, called Fat Beard, Cartman becomes a pirate king. Due to how effective the Somalian pirates become under his leadership, all of the pirates were killed by the United Nations at the end of the episode. This counts as a Cartman kill because he ramped up pirate activity. The Tale of Scroder McBoogerballs is a story written by Stan, Kyle, Cartman, and Kenny. It was a book full of vulgarity and ripping on Sarah Jessica Parker. When Stan's mom finds the book, the boys believe that they're going to be in trouble, so naturally, they blame it on Butters. Turns out, everyone loved the book, so the boys decide they have to try to get back at Butters for stealing their fame. Cartman's idea is to kill Sarah Jessica Parker. Since the book is full of making fun of her, people might think that she was killed because of the book and then blame the author, which everyone thinks is Butters. Anyway, Cartman dresses Sarah Jessica Parker up in antlers, and then she's shot by a hunter.
You left her in the forest and she got shot by a hunter. What? Oh no!
Cartman becomes a NASCAR driver in the episode Poor and Stupid. Since Cartman doesn't know how to drive, he causes some lethal crashes. In his first race, he ends up causing one crash, which kills the driver and about 20 people in the crowd. In his second race, the death toll rises. First, he runs over Danica Patrick. Then he turns left a little too hard before the turn and kills 28 more people. Then when Kenny jumps on Cartman's car because he wants to stop him, Cartman runs into another one because he can't see, killing 4 people in a pit stop as well as the driver. After Cartman has enough of Kenny, he slams on the brakes. Kenny launches forward and 2 more cars approach and are about to hit him. Both cars turn away just in time, but they both hit walls and explode. It's later implied that all the other cars crashed and they're all on fire, so I'm going to add 36 more kills because that's how many cars there were. Through a series of comic book inspired drawings, we get to see all the people that Cartman killed while friends with Cthulhu. First we see 2 men that are being electrocuted. Then we see Cthulhu destroy a synagogue where there's 4 people running away. I'm assuming those 4 people died. Then a bus with 3 hippies, and of course to finish it off, Cartman and Cthulhu destroy all of San Francisco. In 2010, the population of San Francisco was 805,519, so a grand total of 805,528 people died in this episode. In the next episode, we continue from where we were in the last episode. Cartman gets Cthulhu to send all of his friends to a dark oblivion. In that oblivion, Kenny kills himself so he can try to come back and save everyone else. Cartman then says that he's destroyed most of the synagogues and most of the Whole Foods, so I'm just going to add 2,000 for those all being destroyed. And then we see that Cartman goes to Burning Man Festival, and he kills 70,000 people there. I'm counting 70,000 because that's the average amount of people that go to each event. Lastly, Eric and Cthulhu destroy an entire Justin Bieber concert. In 2010, the average attendance at a JB concert was 12,734. I'll just say 200 more staff were there, and also Justin himself. Cartman, Kyle, Stan, and Jimmy are seen bringing a box with Tyler Perry in it to bury it for some reason. I don't fully understand, even after watching the episode, why they do this. I think it's because he's a bad comedian or because Tolkien keeps giving away money to him. But anyway, he probably dies in the box after it's reinforced with steel and then buried underground. We learn that Cartman has anger issues in episode 4. I mean, we already knew he had anger issues, but he sees an anger management specialist in this episode. The specialist starts calling Cartman fat to see how bad the anger can become. So in response, Cartman calls up the specialist's wife. He tells the wife that the specialist has been chatting with a 14-year-old and has a criminal record. Anyway, the wife shoots herself because of the news.
No, I don't have a criminal record. Who is Mitch Connor? There can't be an official police report, honey. There's no, Carol, put down the gun. Sweetie, come on. Put down the... Carol!
Cartman becomes a border patrol officer in episode 9. He kills 9 people who are trying to escape back into Mexico by spraying them with water and then throwing an electrical device into the puddle. In the next episode, we learn Cartman is responsible for the death of a kid named Corey Duran, who killed himself after Cartman bullied him for taking a number 2 in his pants.
That the ridicule and the torment from other students spearheaded by you caused him... Spearheaded by you...
We've got something that's hard to say if it's a kill in episode 1 of season 16. In this episode, Clyde's mom dies when she's on the toilet, so the government implements measures to make sure it won't happen again. Cartman gets fed up with these measures, which include people inside the bathroom with you to make sure you don't fall in. Cartman captures and kidnaps one of these people, as well as a baby. We never see these 2 people again, so I assume they died. In the episode Insecurity, Farmer Fred tells all the dads that they need to kill the UPS man who they think is banging their wives. Side note, in this episode, at no time is the UPS man banging anyone's wife. Later in the episode, the UPS man is driven to kill himself by jumping out a window. Later, the dads go back to Farmer Fred and tell him that there's no reason to be afraid. During this conversation, Farmer Fred convinces the dads again that they should kill the security alarm man. Cartman includes himself in the plan to kill the security man.
You should have respected my authority.
Cartman watches the movie World War Z. He starts getting nightmares about an outbreak. To prevent this outbreak, Cartman starts being really nice to Tolkien. Eventually, Tolkien gets fed up with Cartman and gets really pissed off. Cartman sees this as the start of an outbreak. So Cartman dresses up as Brad Pitt, then goes to the airport. He hijacks a plane to get away, but finds an infected person in the back of the plane. He tells everybody about the infected person, so someone jumps out of the plane while it's in midair. This causes the plane to crash. I'm going to call it at 400 kills for the plane crash because only Cartman and 1 other woman survive. After this, Cartman learns that the outbreak hasn't quite started yet. He believes it is still inevitable, though, so he thinks the only way to stop it from happening is by going to Florida and killing George Zimmerman. So Cartman goes to Florida by hijacking another plane. The same thing happens from before, and the plane crashes. After all this, Cartman dresses his partner up in black so that they can try to sneak into George Zimmerman's house. She then gets run over by a car because she couldn't be seen on the road at night. George Zimmerman is also given the death penalty at the end of the episode for shooting Cartman, and I'm just going to add that as well. So 802 kills in this episode. Cartman dresses a cow to look like a ginger in episode 6. After that, a bunch of news stations around the world start have anchors killing themselves. We only get to see 5 anchors kill themselves, but I'm going to just say 2,000 more died of this off screen. I'm probably way off, but I'll just call this episode at 2,005 kills. I got nothing in season 18, but we get quite a few in the first episode of season 19. Cartman tries to get back at PC Principal because he's punishing Kyle. Cartman makes a whole plan to attack the frat house where all the PC people live. Cartman sends 2 Chinese drivers to enter the battle zone, and both of them crash, killing 4 people in the cars along with the pregnant Mexican woman and 2 Syrian refugees who were caught in between the 2 cars. Right after that, a PC guy is thrown off the 2nd floor balcony and he lands on his head. I got nothing in season 20 or season 21, so yeah, remind me if I missed any in the comments. In episode 4, Cartman and Butters are trying to get money to pay back the people they bought vapes from. In order to do this, they frame a vape dealer of killing a hooker. They bring in the dead hooker, bash the vape dealer's knees, and then they steal all of the vapes and money. They're really letting us down lately in these seasons. Season 23 and 24, I found no kills. I found one in post-COVID at the very end. Before Cartman sends Clyde back in time to kill Kyle, Cartman's wife comes out and helps him realize that what he's doing is wrong. Before they get Clyde out of the time machine, one of Cartman's kids pulls a lever and sends Clyde back. To right this wrong, Cartman goes back in time and shoots Clyde.
Jesus Christ!
Cartman's mom gets a job as a real estate agent in episode 3 so she can make more money. Cartman gets angry that she won't be around to basically serve him anymore, so he goes out and becomes a real estate agent as well. He starts taking all the business from where his mom works, and all the other agents at that outfit start getting desperate. They believe in order to get more customers, they think it's important that they lean all the way back in their profile photos. Anyway, they all lean back a little too far and break their backs. I didn't find any kills in season 26, but I did think it was pretty funny when Cupid Yee was shooting people and turning them into, I'll say, far-right radicalists. There were no kills in the streaming wars, and I've actually got to take 7 kills away from season 25. Turns out all the real estate people survived until this point, as seen here. When both Cartmans are sent back to their universes, the Cartman from the other universe falls down from the sky where Stan, Kyle, and Kenny are waiting for the school bus, and then she lands on Kenny. And then I found no kills in Not Suitable for Kids or End of Obesity. Well, look at those numbers. There were a few surprises in there, eh? The latest seasons are kind of lacking, but overall a pretty good KD ratio. Seasons range from 0 kills to over 6 billion. Wait, 6 billion? I must have put that in by mistake. Or did I miss an episode? In the episode Trapper Keeper, a cyborg by the name of Bill Cosby comes to town. His job is to destroy Cartman's Trapper Keeper because it is Cartman infused with his Trapper Keeper that actually destroy all of humanity. You see, Cartman's Trapper Keeper gains sentience and starts absorbing and merging with other devices. It also eventually starts merging with humans. By the year 2004, Cartman was responsible for the end of humanity. He also kills Kenny here, and this dude here, and Rosie O'Donnell here. So over all the episodes and specials that have come out, I found Cartman responsible for 6,506,778,065 deaths. He also only had 1 death, so his KD ratio is also 6,506,778,065. This was a fun video to make, so let me know if there are any other weird South Park videos I should make. Thanks for watching. Good morning.